Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to All Things Division 3 Soccer with Simple Coach and Jackie. I am Simple Coach, indeed. And Jackie is actually sleeping in a bed sort of right behind me. So, can't leave her on the chair anymore because when she sleeps, if she falls off, we're trying to avoid that. So she doesn't need that at her age. All right, so wanted to run through this week's top 25. It's as of Sunday, October 6th. I'm going to run through it pretty quickly this time because there wasn't a lot of movement on the top end of the rankings. There's some movement at the bottom end, but mostly it's pretty much been static, which makes me wonder if we're not starting to hone in on who the teams are that are worthy of the rankings. So I'm going to run through it pretty quick and brief, because I think it's going to start to get interesting over the next week, the week after, as we really dive into some really meaty conference games. So here we go. Number 25, Brandeis at 9-2. They beat Wheaton. Then they lost a tight game. I think it was 2-1 or 1-0 to Carnegie Mellon, which I thought was impressive that they held their own. So they're still in the ranking, although they are down one. Probably one of the biggest moves all week. At 24, Wisconsin Lacrosse at 7-3. They had their 3 losses, including the last one was against Christopher Newport. But then they just beat Wisconsin Oshkosh to, I guess, sort of get back on track. So we'll see if they have some staying power. At 23, down a spot at 6-2-1, Emory. They tied Swanee, then lost to Wash U at home. So at 22, up 3 spots. I was been really impressed with them. And how they're playing at 6-2-2. Williams, they had a win against Bates, and then they tied a pretty decent Southern Maine at home, I believe. Another one down 3 spots. I'm still not sure how to read these folks. 7-0-4 Cal Lutheran, defending national champions. They beat Occidental, then they beat Caltech, and then they tied the Banana Slugs of UC Santa Cruz. So at 20, up 3 spots, because I really like the way they play, and thought they had a really good game against Amherst. But they beat Hartford and then tied Amherst, and that's a really, really good result. So another NESCAC up a spot. Number 19, Middlebury at 6-0-3. They beat Bowdoin away. They face Plymouth, and then they have a big game this weekend against Colby. So that should be interesting. At 18, up a spot. Again, I'm sort of really impressed with the way they're playing. 7-0-4 NYU. They beat Scranton, and then they tied Case in the UAA. So again, that's a really great result for NYU. At 17, 8-1-2. I still like this team. McDaniel, they beat Dickinson at home. They face F&M next. They're in the same spot as they were last week. I ding these folks. 7-0-4. They tied NYU at home. Case Western, as I mentioned. Next up, they head down to Emory to face in conference play. So at 15, up a spot. 8-0-2 Rowan. This team keeps winning. I think they should have, I'll just say, relatively smooth sailing until October 30th when they play TC&J. And I think that's going to be the banger of the week for the NJAC. So in 14th, University of Paywall, University of Rochester, 7-1-2. They They had a really good win against Chicago at home, and they next up they face RIT and Carnegie Mellon, which should be really a banger of a game. They're up one spot. At 13, 6-1-3, same as last week. Johns Hopkins. The only game they played was against Bryn Mawr, and they beat Bryn Mawr. At 12th, 7-1, really impressive run, same as last week. Washington and Lee, they keep winning. They beat Lynchburg away, and then they beat Randolph-Macon at home. So they're really letting themselves be known in the ODAC. Another team that really impresses me, same as last week, at 11 spot, MIT at 8-1-1. They had a good win against Clark, which I think are relatively right down the road, maybe. Maybe a little bit further. Anyhow, at 10th, 9-1-1, Misericordia. They lost to Messiah, and then they played Lebanon Valley and then ended up beating Lebanon Valley. So just giving them a nod there. Same spot as last week. I still think they're a good team and can compete with anybody. Same spot as last week. Number 9, Messiah, 6-1-3. They had wins at Shenandoah and Eastern, so they are winning the games they're supposed to. At 8-1-2 in 8th spot, I really like this team. Pomona Pitzer. They had a surprise loss to Chapman, which might have been a blip. And then they followed up with 2 solid wins against Redlands and Claremont Mud Scripps. They are down 2 spots. So they were 6 last week. Now they're at 8th. At 7, same as last week. 7-2-1, Tufts, the Jumbos. They had 3 wins in a row against Trinity, then at Bates and Regis. They have a pretty significant week coming up. They play Bates and Amherst over the weekend. So at number 6, the only undefeatable team I think left in the women's game. Let me confirm that. Oh, I'm sorry, Ferrum. Okay, Ferrum is 11-0 as well. At 11-0, Loras College, undefeatable, and they haven't conceded a goal all year. That's pretty remarkable. All right, so the number 5s, the top 5. Here we go. At number 5, 9-0-2. The Lions of the College of New Jersey. They had wins against Stockton and Montclair to really cement themselves as a leader in the NJAC. So well-deserved on their part. At number 4, another one, Carnegie Mellon, 8-0-3, same as last week, no change. They beat Brandeis, as I mentioned earlier. At number 3, as they were last week, 6-0-3, Amherst, the Mammoths. They had a tie against a very good Wesleyan team, but I don't. That was just a great game. So that's where they stay, which then of course means number 2, same as last week, 9-0-1, Christopher Newport. They beat Marymount and Swarthmore to really stay in the chase for number 1. And then finally, no change, as I've been saying all year, 12-0-1, WashU. They had 3 wins, one against Greenville, then away at Emory and Piedmont. And so they are just rolling along, really sort of building and momentum heading into deep into conference, and then to ultimately for the conference tournament, and then for the NCAA's. So it is so WashU it is. I'm sticking to it, and that's my story. I'm sticking. That was the top 25. Obviously, if I got something wrong or you have a different, and feel free to opine below, shoot me an email. I will answer whatever I can. And by all means, love the banter. So that's it. That's all she wrote for now. I'll be back next week with the top 25. But in the meantime, hope you're enjoying the games, and we will talk soon.